Wesley?
Hi.
Hi.
My mommy says you're tall.
Your mommy?
You're Wesley Carter.
Who's your mom?
Maddie. Maddie,
I found him,
I can see that. What did we say about wandering away?
but I knew his name.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Mommy cries when she sees apple trees.
Maddie.
The old gym smells exactly the way Wesley Carter remembers. Floor polish, dust trapped in folded bleachers, burnt coffee from the refreshment table, the faint sweetness of cheap sheet cake waiting beneath plastic wrap. Some things, apparently, refuse to move on. He stands just inside the entrance with one hand in the pocket of his navy blazer, reading the banner stretched across the far wall. Riverside High School, 15-year reunion. The letters sway gently every time the air conditioner groans to life. 15 years. It sounds impossible. He spent 10 of them wearing uniforms that belonged to the Army. 3 more learning how to exist without schedules barked at sunrise. The last 2 trying to build a quiet life back in Willow Creek, where his father had grown too tired to manage the family orchard alone. He told himself coming tonight was just another difficult thing to get through. Like physical therapy, like funerals, like learning that silence becomes easier every year you practice it. He takes a paper cup of coffee from the refreshments table. It's terrible. He drinks it anyway. Wes. The voice freezes him before he turns. Danny Morris. Quarterback. Class clown. Somehow still both. Wesley Carter. Danny laughs, wrapping him in a bear hug. I thought you'd skip this. I almost did. You always almost did everything. Wesley smiles despite himself. That had once been true. Danny keeps talking, marriage, kids, mortgage payments, aching knees, but Wesley only catches pieces. His eyes keep drifting toward the entrance. Not because he expects her, because he spent 15 years hoping he wouldn't. The first time Wesley meets Emily Harper, she's 16 and furious. She's standing on top of a fence post outside Carter Orchard, yelling at a stubborn orange cat perched in an apple tree. If you fall, she warns, I'm not catching you. The cat yawns. Wesley, 17, and carrying 2 baskets of Honeycrisp apples, can't help laughing. Emily spins around. You think this is funny? A little. You get him down then. I'm allergic to cats. No.
He nods toward her glare.
Angry girls. For one long second, she simply stares. Then she laughs, so suddenly she nearly falls off the fence. That becomes the beginning. Not fireworks. Not destiny. Just laughter beneath apple trees. Wesley, a tiny voice interrupts the memory. He looks down. A little girl stands beside him wearing silver sneakers that blink blue every time she shifts her weight. She can't be older than 6. Dark curls tumble around her face. Freckles dance across her nose. She studies him with fearless curiosity.
Hi. Hi.
My mommy says you're tall. He blinks. Your mommy. She nods very seriously. You're Wesley Carter. He doesn't answer immediately. Something inside his chest tightens. Who's your mom? The little girl points across the gym. His heart forgets how to beat. Emily. She's standing near the entrance, talking to an older woman. Her hair is shorter now, still chestnut brown, still catching the light in the same impossible way. She wears a simple navy dress and a thin silver necklace. No wedding ring. She looks older. Not old. Life has simply written itself gently around her eyes. Then she notices where her daughter is standing. Their eyes meet. 15 years disappear. Emily walks quickly across the gym. Maddie, the little girl smiles proudly. I found him. I can see that. Emily kneels. What did we say about wandering away? But I knew his name. Emily looks up.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. An awkward silence settles. Neither knows where to begin. Maddie solves it. Mommy cries when she sees apple trees. Emily's face changes instantly. Maddie, what? We don't tell strangers everything. He's not a stranger. The little girl smiles brightly at Wesley. You're the apple man. The words hit harder than they should. Emily stands slowly. I'm
Sorry.
You already said that. I know. Another silence. This one even heavier. Finally, Wesley asks quietly. She knows who I am? Emily hesitates. Apparently. Before he can ask another question, someone across the gym calls Emily's name. She gives Wesley a polite nod. It was good to see you. Then she's gone, leaving behind the scent of lavender and rain. Leaving behind one impossible question. How does a 6-year-old know his name? 15 years earlier, the town gathers beneath white blossoms for the annual Apple Blossom Festival. Emily wins the pie contest. Again, Wesley claims the judges are biased. They like you. They like butter. They definitely like you. She hands him a fork. Then stop complaining and eat. He does. She's right. She usually is. Later they sit on the roof of the orchard barn, watching the sunset melt into endless rows of apple trees. Neither speaks much. They never need to. Emily leans her head lightly against his shoulder. He pretends not to notice because noticing would make it real. Wes, if you ever leave, I'll come back. You don't know that.
I do.
What if life changes? It won't. She smiles sadly. It always does. He reaches for her hand. Their fingers touch. Neither pulls away. It feels like making a promise without saying the words. 3 months later, the Army recruiter parks outside the diner. By winter, Wesley is leaving for basic training. Everyone comes to say goodbye. His father, Danny, neighbors. Emily doesn't. Not because she doesn't want to, because she can't. She waits in the orchard instead, under the oldest apple tree, the one they always call the giant. She waits until sunset. He never comes. What she never learns is that Wesley had driven there. He stopped at the edge of the orchard, saw her beneath the tree, then looked down at the unopened letter in his hand. Fear won. He turned the truck around. He convinced himself she'd be happier for getting him than waiting. The letter stayed folded in his duffel bag for years. He never called. Not once. Back in the reunion gym, Wesley finds himself standing beside the old trophy case. He isn't looking at trophies. He's watching Emily laugh politely with former classmates. It isn't her real laugh. He remembers that sound. This one is careful, measured, like someone who learned happiness can disappear without warning. Danny appears beside him, carrying 2 slices of cake. You gonna keep staring? I'm not. Liar. Danny hands him a plate. So, you're wondering, why Emily Harper became Emily Bennett. Wesley says nothing. Danny sighs. She got married 8 years ago. Something inside, Wesley quietly closes. Danny continues. Her husband died 2 years back. The door inside him opens again. Not with hope, with guilt.
A logging accident.
Wesley lowers his eyes.
I'm sorry.
Everybody was. They stand quietly. Then Danny adds. She came home after the funeral. Home. Her parents' orchard. Wesley looks up sharply. The Harper place? Danny nods. Things aren't good. What do you mean? The orchard's drowning. The reunion begins to wind down. People exchange numbers they'll probably never use. Pose for photographs they'll rarely revisit. Promise to stay in touch. Outside, summer rain begins falling softly. Emily stands beneath the front awning with Maddie. The little girl stretches out one hand, catching raindrops. I like rainy days. Emily smiles. I know. They smell happy. Emily kisses the top of her head. They smell like new beginnings. A familiar voice speaks behind her. They smell like apple blossoms. She turns. Wesley stands there holding an umbrella he hasn't opened. Rain dampens his shoulders. Neither moves. Finally, Maddie grins. I knew you'd come. Emily laughs softly. You seem very sure of everything. I just listen. Children often do. Too well. I'll walk you to your car, Wesley says. You don't have to. I know. Another pause. Okay. The parking lot glistens beneath streetlights. Rain whispers across the asphalt. Maddie happily jumps over puddles. So, Wesley says. So, I heard about your husband. Emily keeps looking ahead. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I know. I should have called. You should have. I wanted to. No. She finally looks at him. You wanted to stop feeling guilty. The words land gently, which somehow hurts more. I waited. She says it almost absently. longer than I should have. He cannot answer. I wasn't angry forever, she continues quietly. I just eventually stopped expecting the phone to ring. Rain taps softly against the umbrella. Maddie chases another puddle. I got married, Emily says. He was kind.
I'm glad.
I loved him.
I'm glad.
She studies Wesley's face. You mean that?
I do.
He knew about you. Wesley's breath catches. I told him once there had been someone who never really left. Silence. He wasn't jealous. Emily smiles faintly. He said first loves don't disappear. They just become part of who we are. Wesley swallows hard. At her car, Maddie climbs into the back seat. Before closing the door, she leans forward. Mommy, yes. Can Wesley come see the apple trees? Emily blinks. Maddie, what? You don't invite people without asking. I'm asking. She looks directly at Wesley. Can you? He glances toward Emily. She hesitates for several long seconds. Then, the orchard could use another pair of hands. It isn't forgiveness. It isn't friendship. It certainly isn't love. But isn't goodbye. Not this time. Wesley smiles. I'll be there tomorrow. Emily nods once. 9 o'clock. She gets into the driver's seat. The headlights sweep across the parking lot as the car pulls away. Maddie waves enthusiastically through the rain-speckled window until they disappear around the corner. Wesley remains standing in the empty parking lot long after the taillights vanish. The rain soaks through his jacket. For the first time in 15 years, he doesn't walk away from the orchard. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Morning arrives wrapped in pale gold. Mist hangs low between the rows of apple trees, softening the world into blurred greens and silvers. Dew clings to every leaf, and somewhere beyond the orchard a mourning dove calls into the quiet. Wesley parks his pickup beside the weathered barn. Nothing has changed. Everything has. The old swing still hangs from the giant oak beside the farmhouse. The red paint on the barn is faded to rusty pink. The mailbox leans a little farther than he remembers. He notices something else. The orchard is too quiet. Too many trees stand bare. Too many branches have been left untrimmed. Neglect doesn't always come from laziness. Sometimes it comes from grief. Emily is already working when he finds her. She balances on a ladder with pruning shears in one hand, her hair tucked beneath a faded baseball cap. She doesn't look surprised to see him. You came. I said I would. A faint smile touches her lips. You used to say that too. The words aren't cruel, just true. He accepts them. What needs doing? She points toward the eastern rows. Dead limbs first. He nods. No speeches.
No apologies.
Just work. By noon their hands are scratched, their shirts damp with sweat, and the silence between them feels different. Not comfortable. Not painful. Simply shared. Maddie races through the orchard chasing butterflies with a yellow net much too small to catch anything. Wesley. He turns. She holds up a crooked apple. Does this one look sad? He studies it seriously. I think it looks determined. It has a funny nose. So do I. She giggles. Emily watches from across the row. She hasn't laughed like that in months. Inside the farmhouse, lunch is simple. Tomato soup, grilled cheese, fresh apple slices. Maddie chatters enough for everyone. Wesley, Mom says soldiers are brave. Emily sighs. I also told you soldiers get tired. Did you ever get scared? He thinks before answering. Every day. She nods thoughtfully. My daddy got scared too. Emily's hand pauses around her spoon. He told me brave people aren't people who don't get scared. She smiles softly. They're the ones who keep loving anyway. The room falls quiet. Wesley notices the framed photograph on the mantel. Emily beside a smiling man in work boots, his arm around her shoulders. Maddie, still a toddler, asleep in his arms. There is no jealousy, only gratitude. Someone loved them when he wasn't there. That afternoon, an unfamiliar black SUV rolls slowly up the gravel driveway. A man in an expensive suit steps out carrying a leather folder. Emily's shoulders stiffen immediately. Morning, Mrs. Bennett. It's still morning somewhere, Mr. Carlyle. He doesn't smile. The extension expires Friday. Wesley listens without interrupting. Carlisle opens the folder. The bank has received an offer from Greenstone Development. Emily folds her arms. We're not selling. You may not have a choice. They're offering twice the assessed value. I'm not interested. The orchard hasn't turned a profit in 3 years. Emily's voice remains calm. This land belonged to my grandparents. It could belong to someone else's grandchildren. She steps closer. It grows food. They'll build luxury homes. It grows memories. They build equity. Carlisle sighs. I'll see you Friday. He leaves. Dust settles behind the SUV. Only after it disappears does Wesley speak. How bad is it? Emily stares across the trees. Worse than I told anyone. That evening, Wesley drives home without saying much. His father, Frank Carter, is repairing an old tractor when Wesley pulls into the yard. Frank glances up. You saw her. Yeah. You helping. Trying. Frank wipes grease from his hands. The Harper orchard was never the problem. What do you mean? It isn't the trees. He looks directly at his son. It's the people carrying them. Frank disappears into the barn. A moment later, he returns, holding an old tin box. I found this after your mother died. Inside, the letter, still sealed, still addressed in Wesley's handwriting. Emily Harper. His father says quietly, I wonder how long it'd take before you were ready. That night, Wesley sits on the porch until moonlight silver coats the orchard. He finally opens the envelope. Inside are only 3 handwritten pages. No grand declarations.
No poetry.
Just the truth he never found courage to speak. I'm scared I'll become someone you won't recognize. If I leave without telling you how much you matter, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. He already has. The next morning, he returns to Emily's orchard carrying the letter. He almost gives it to her. Almost. Instead, he slips it back into his pocket. Some truths belong in actions before words. The town begins to notice. 1 truck becomes 3.
Neighbors arrive carrying ladders.
Old classmates show up with chainsaws. The retired agriculture teacher brings fertilizer. Danny organizes volunteers. Nobody announces it. They simply come. Because orchards aren't saved alone. Neither are people. Emily watches from a porch. She didn't ask for help, which somehow makes it harder to accept. Mrs. Alvarez from the bakery presses a warm apple pie in her hands. You fed this town for years. Emily blinks. We're just returning the favor. 3 days before the deadline. Rain arrives. Hard. Relentless. Water floods the lower orchard. A retaining wall begins collapsing. Wesley doesn't wait. He jumps into the rising water with sandbags. Danny follows. Then Frank. Then half the town. Emily runs toward them. Wesley. The current knocks him sideways. She reaches for him instinctively. Their hands meet. For one terrifying second, she thinks she's losing him too. He steadies himself. I am okay. She doesn't let go immediately. Neither notices. Maddie does. She smiles quietly. The storm passes. The orchard survives. Barely. That evening, everyone gathers beneath the barn roof, eating chili from paper bowls. Laughter echoes again. Real laughter. Emily hasn't heard this place sound alive since before her husband died. She steps outside for air. Wesley joins her. Moonlight filters through dripping branches. I found the letter. She looks at him. What letter? The one I never gave you. He hands it over. She doesn't open it. I don't need to. You don't. You were 17. So, I already knew what it said. He laughs softly through tired eyes. You did. You always looked at me like you were trying to memorize my face. Silence. I wasn't angry because you left. She turns toward him. I was angry because you decided for both of us. He nods. I know. I would have waited. I know. You never gave me the chance. No. He cannot defend himself. I was a coward. She studies him for a long moment. No. You were a frightened boy. And now. She smiles sadly. Now you're a frightened man who's finally telling the truth. Friday arrives. The bank returns. Carlisle steps onto the porch.
I'm sorry.
Emily already knows. He lays foreclosure papers on the table. The sale becomes effective Monday. Maddie watches from the stairs. Mommy. Emily forces a smile. It's okay. But it isn't. Carlisle pauses before leaving. There is one condition. Emily frowns. The developer agreed to delay demolition if someone purchases the mortgage today. She almost laughs. With what money? A familiar engine rumbles up the driveway. Then another. Then another. Pickup trucks fill the lane. Neighbors. Friends. Former classmates. The entire town. Frank Carter steps forward carrying a folder. We've been busy. Emily looks around in confusion. Danny grins. Turns out your pies fed more people than you realized. Mrs. Alvarez wipes her eyes. The fundraiser exceeded expectations. The retired teacher smiles.
So did the donations.
Frank hands the folder to Carlisle. Enough to satisfy the mortgage. Carlisle checks the paperwork twice, then a third time. Finally, he closes the folder. The debt. He looks up. Is paid. Emily doesn't move. She can't. After so much fear, relief feels impossible to trust. Maddie throws herself into her mother's arms. We get to stay? Emily finally begins crying. Yes, we get to stay. That evening, the entire orchard glows beneath strings of borrowed lights. Long wooden tables stretch between the trees. Someone plays an old guitar. Children chase fireflies. Apple cider fills mason jars. It isn't a celebration of money. It's a celebration of belonging. Emily wanders away from the crowd, toward the giant, the oldest tree, the place where two teenagers once almost said forever. Wesley finds her there. I thought you'd be with everyone. I wanted one quiet minute. He nods. So did I. The breeze carries the scent of apples and damp earth. After a long silence, Emily speaks. I used to imagine this conversation. So did I. In mine. She smiles. You always knew what to say. I still don't. No, you don't. They laugh, then fall quiet again. Finally, Wesley says, I don't expect another chance because I came back. I know. I don't deserve one because I helped save the orchard. I know. I can't undo 15 years. No. He steps closer. But if you'll let me, his voice almost disappears. I'd like to spend whatever years we have left earning your trust. Emily looks at him for a very long time, not searching for the boy she loved, looking for the man standing in front of her. Maddie appears several yards away holding two tiny apple seedlings. I found babies. Emily smiles through fresh tears. Bring them here. The little girl runs over. Grandpa Frank said we should plant them. Wesley kneels. That's a good idea. Will they get big? If somebody takes care of them. Maddie thinks seriously. We can. She places one seedling into Emily's hands, the other into Wesley's. Then she takes one of their hands in each of hers, without ceremony, without permission, simply because, in her 6-year-old heart, it already makes sense. Emily looks at Wesley. He doesn't squeeze her hand. He simply lets her decide. After a long moment, her fingers gently close around his. Not tightly, not forever, just enough. Enough to begin. Together they kneel beneath the evening sky and plant the two young apple trees side by side. Nearby, the giant spreads its ancient branches over them like a quiet blessing. Years from now, those new trees will bear fruit long after everyone gathered beneath them is gone. Children will climb them. Families will picnic beneath their shade. Someone will ask who planted them, and the answer will be simple. Two people who lost 15 years and finally found the courage not to lose another day. Above them, the last light of sunset slips through the leaves, turning every apple into a small golden lantern. The orchard breathes. The wind carries blossoms across the rows. And for the first time in 15 years, Wesley and Emily walk home together. Not because the past has been erased, but because they have finally found the words their hearts have been waiting to hear all along.